to this portion of this week, which starts, one can say, Hannuka. This is when it says, and Jacob dwelt. Actually, it says settled. It should be settled. Vayeshev is to sit down, yeah, to settle in. So where he tried to settle, and Jacob settled in the land wherein his father was a stranger, yeah, girl. So he tried to actually create or to gain, one can say, citizenship in the realm where his fathers, Abraham and Isaac, felt themselves to be new immigrants, one can say. Okay? And why it means to settle? It means that with all his sons in the land of Israel, Jacob thought that he can bring the end of reformation. Yeah? Everything for him was in his mind was completed. Okay? So when he tried to settle, it is said when Jacob tried to settle, the wrath of Joseph jumped on him, meaning something starts to happen that actually unsettled him, because the story of Joseph and his dreams starts the rift between the brothers and the rift between two perceptions, two very major perceptions of redemption. The view and perception of Joseph and the view and perception of Judah. Okay? So when he tried to settle it, what appears to him that there is still something to fulfill. They need to go to exile. And the first move, one can say, for us it's clear, but for Jacob at that moment, the first move through Joseph would be how the family of Jacob will go to exile in Egypt. Maybe in what conditions they will go, because it is Jacob. The condition of his exile would be under the reign of Joseph, meaning one can say exile deluxe. Okay, in 4-star, 5-star hotel. Okay, so they will be received well, but it will take less than a generation, and the new pharaoh that will come will forget Joseph. So, but the sin of the movement of what was actually promised to Abraham, how will I know that I can inherit this possibility of bestowal to and establish this group or nation of spirits that will serve that, will serve there's none beside him, actually starts with this story, with the riff and the dreams and the selling of Joseph. Okay, so it is as well to do with what was asked now about the work. When the spirit tries to settle itself in our work, in our will to receive to oneself, in our ego, in our existence, when it tries to settle itself, one can say the battle against not that the body wish to get rid of the spirit, because the body recognizes the fact that with the spirit it can attain much more. So it doesn't want to banish it, but it wants to control it. It wants to dominate it. Meaning, so now the battle will be who actually will dominate spirituality, the will to receive to oneself, or the service of bestowal. So let's start. We see the different perception. It starts with the dreams. Yeah? We need to see what actually the dreams of Joseph suggest. The many dreams, so they suggest. Once one can see that Joseph sees domination, that one can acquire spiritual domination through dominating economy. Okay. So if I will dominate the source of your income, I can force you. I can actually force you to accept spirituality as the law of existence. Is it clear what I'm saying? Because this is what he's saying. Is actually first moving them from their way of life. The way of life of the family of Jacob and the fathers and Isaac. Isaac was a mixture, one can say, is being shepherds. Shepherds is in movement. Not only in movement, shepherds has to do with the ability to lead spirits. Yeah. To be a shepherd of a flock, to train in that is to know how to lead. So it's training in leadership. And it's training in leadership of a spirituality that needs a constant movement from stage to stage, from discovering new strength or new thickness of the will to receive and pulling light in order to reform it, and then discovering through that there is another depth and there is another need of a higher and one can say higher and stronger light to actually to reform it. This is the word, or to mend it. Okay. But the dream of Joseph is actually very very far, and it's in opposition to the way of life of the family of Jacob. So let's listen to the first one. Okay. So we are in chapter 37, verse 5. Okay. If you have it, it becomes just yeah. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, with his really not being able to see others, one can say, if you know that they hate you because of your being the favorite, declared favorite son of Jacob, and yet you're trying to force on them. So forcing on will be a trait of Joseph, the righteous Joseph. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves. Sheaves has nothing to do with the landscape of existence of they are not farmers, but they are binding sheaves. So there is one can say an attempt to achieve unity in the field. And lo, my my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obedience, yeah, or obeisance, one can say. They bowed to my sheaf. Okay. Now you have to see that there is a deep study here about who is actually deciphering your dreams, because the brother decipher, he brought the dream to them, because the brothers deciphered the dream. It was postponed. Yeah, it was postponed for 20 years actually, and then they actually set the way that it will happen. Okay, so we say, and his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. So first we have to look at dreams in the family of Jacob. One can say that this Genesis is called the Book of Dreams. So a dream is a very special trait of Jacob's family. We could see that wherever Jacob is going, he's dreaming, and even when he goes to Lavan and he wishes to escape Lavan, Lavan is dreaming. He's dreaming, something appears in his dream that actually he should not touch Jacob. So it's clear why Jacob is feeling that the inheritance will go through Joseph, because he's a dreamer. Now, what is the meaning of a dreamer in that respect? We know that a dream, not in the soul context, in the spirit context, it's called 1/60th of prophecy. So in the beginning, this is the way prophecy appears in Jacob's family. But we are seeing that when Joseph is being saved by Judah and Reuven from death, and he's being sold in order maybe later to be rescued, when he's going to Egypt with all his upheaval and events at with the house, yeah, of that part that is accepting him. We see that when he's thrown to jail, we see that the Egyptians start to dream. And not only the Egyptians start to dream, at a certain time in the next portion, yeah, Miketz, Pharaoh starts to dream. So for Joseph, it's a way of a proof that the presence of Israel among the nation caused them to dream. What it means to dream? To dream, usually even in a soul level, is where you cannot settle to the reality as it is. You dream about a better reality. You envision something that can reform it, something that can help it. So one can say to dream, it's an inner state of disagreeing with things as they are. In a soul level, is usually dream comes in a state that we are not able to settle discrepancies in, or we were not able to handle so well something that came and met us through our waking hours. So in a way, the dream in a soul level is trying to mitigate and to balance us. But the dream in spirituality is a sense. We can see it as well in the dreams of Joseph. Joseph is dreaming when Jacob wished to settle. Joseph is dreaming about something that is going to change. It's not going to be as it is now, because as it is now, basically it's not the way that Joseph thinks Israel or Jacob family could fulfill their mission. So when Joseph is being sold to Egypt and he's rising in Egypt, for him it's a proof that Israel should actually influence through being in exile or through being under the dominion of the will to receive, but through, as he did in Egypt, through actually getting control over their livelihood, he will force them. He will force them to accept and to acknowledge the Creator and bestow. Okay? And actually, in the beginning, it seems like the perception of Joseph is winning. He's not only managing to rise up to greatness, to control. He controls all Egypt. He caused all Egyptians to actually surrender their land and become slaves to Pharaoh, and they cannot actually get their livelihood when the years of starvation start without Joseph. And one can say Midrash or the legend suggests that wherever they came for food, Joseph asked them as in return to circumcise themselves. So this is the way that Joseph thought he would gain influence through actually intervening in the templates or forms of power inside the most powerful civilization of that time, which was Egypt. Okay. Now, if the way of Joseph would reign, it means that Egypt would actually be the dominant power on spirituality forever, meaning that the way the reformation will happen is through the will to receive to oneself, meaning through a lot of agony and tribulation. Okay? Because it will have to change, it will have to fulfill the plan, but it will be through that. Okay? So this is the plan of Joseph, and for this he actually disconnect himself completely from his brothers and from Jacob. We should ask ourselves why, at least when his position was better, he did not drop a word to his father to say, "I'm okay." And one can think that it could be because he thought that Jacob was part of the plan, because he sent him to be, one can say, to be judged by his brothers, knowing how they felt about him. So they have to actually meet, not only actually meet, but to unite. But at that point, the reef is too deep. Joseph needs to come round to actually the view of Judah. So we can see that there is the way Joseph is going down, being sold and starting to rise up. And because Judah does not manage to bring back Joseph to his father, he's going down, is falling from grace from the leadership of his brothers, and the whole story of Tamar is happening. And then he learns his reformation. By the view or the perspective of Judah of reformation is basically that only if Israel has a sovereignty over the way the way of life, meaning that they can choose bestowal over receiving, only from that standpoint they can actually spread the light. So you can see that Hannuka is actually bringing, it's a debate between the Greeks or philosophy and belief, the Israel belief of how actually it will happen. Let me say something. The Greeks actually had a very deep and high appreciation for the Torah, or one can say for Israel wisdom. They had such a deep appreciation. So Alexander even decided to actually translate the Bible into Greek. So one can say that the Bible could be brought and enrich the knowledge of all nations, and it can be, one can say, that the same people will actually be aware of it and study it like they study Aristo or like they study Platon. They will study as well the wisdom of Torah. So it will be a part, it will mingle with the wisdom of the world. It will lose its uniqueness because it's saying it's the same. So actually, the Greeks did not wish to destroy the bodies of Israel. They were not the Romans, and it's like in later history. They actually wished to destroy the uniqueness of the service, of what it means Israel. Yashar Kel. So one can say that Joseph and the Greeks, at a certain point, the view of Joseph is, let's use the wisdom of how to run the world from all nations, and through that we will insert, and it will be most probably by coercion. We will get into such position of influence. So actually, meaning if it will become a wisdom like all wisdoms, it loses the uniqueness, or it's making it, Torah becomes the thought of human. Even if it will be the top and the best and the most refined intelligence and perception of humans, of their life, of creation. The Torah is not human speech. It's God's speech. It's not a perception of humanity. It's the perception of the Creator in humanity. So the danger of putting it on, one can say, on the shelves of human wisdom or human achievement or human consciousness actually kills it, because it kills the difference of its origin, and more than that, it kills the difference of its mission. This is divine mission, divine origin, and this is human origin, meaning this is the origin of it is bestowal, and philosophy, love of wisdom, comes from the will to receive to oneself. Is it clear? Or there is a question about it? Okay. So the beginning of what we see, trying to settle into the final stages of reformation, will bring up two ways. Whether it will be out there, we will have to mingle out there, or we will have to settle, one can say, a center that will be a reformed vessel, that from it the light can shine out. Okay? So this is actually the debate and battle between Judah and Joseph, the way to reform. Okay? And Hannuka is actually the Judah's perspective prevailing. Okay? It is Yehuda Maccabee, it is the Hashmonaim, and it definitely has to do with the female aspect. Now, the female aspect we see in this portion through Tamar, through the story of Tamar and Yehuda, and we see it through the daughter of Matityahu, which, as usual, she even doesn't have a name. So let's call her Yehudit or whatever, because her story is a mixture of Yehudit and Hannah and her 7 sons. So I know I'm speaking from reference, so if you don't know the reference that I speak from, you have to stop me. The story of Tamar from this portion, I hope you understand it. She was basically the wife of the 2 sons of Judah, Er and Onan. They both died, and there was a 3rd son which they were waiting for him to grow. He already grew. Judah was afraid that she's a lethal lady, so he postponed their marriage. So she decided, because the wife of Judah died, that she will actually continue the generation through Judah. And she's covering herself, and she's insisting, and she's taking an attribute from him, the attributes of his stuff and the thread, the color thread that actually identify, one can say, the origin of Judah. Okay, and it's being presented, okay? Being presented, and then Judah is defining the work. She's right. She's more right than me, meaning that the all aspect of the female will always cause or reform the right way. So we can see that Hannuka relates to the story that belongs to Judah, but we need to go through the exile, through the story of Joseph. So those two will form one. Joseph will be the Messiah of preparation, and Judah will be the Messiah of completion, or the way we will be able to complete the mission or to come truly to the mission. So they will be combined. Okay.